Two killed, 1,000 houses lost as fire engulfs IDP camp in Borno. Nationwide strike enters day 2 with partial compliance. Nigeria's inflation rate hits 27.33% amid soaring food prices. On the foreign scene, Gaza hospital raid still ongoing as Israeli military carry out targeted attacks. These are the headlines on Trust TV News Update at this hour. I am Ayuba Ilya. Thanks for joining. We begin with a rather unfortunate incident where 2 internally displaced persons have died and more than 1,000 makeshift houses were burned when fire swept through Muna Alamdari IDP camp in Maiduguri. The fire began at about 6 a.m. and lasted for over an hour before it was brought under control by fire service personnel. The Director General of the State Emergency Management Agency, Dr. Barkindo Muhammad, said on Wednesday in Maiduguri that the IDP's Civilian Joint Task Force, security agencies and some others also assisted in putting out the fire. Muhammad said that the agency has commenced an assessment of the damages while making efforts to provide immediate humanitarian support to the victims. Daily Trust reporter Olatunji Omiri joins us now via phone for an update on that situation. Hello, Olatunji, can you hear me?
Yes, good evening. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you for joining us for this update. Now, what could have led to this incident at the moment? What do we know about what happened, really?
As we speak, the cause of this fire disaster is yet on us. Mona IDP camp is one of the IDP camps that was thousands of people, even though the camp is situated outskirts of Maiduguri, and there's one of the camps that FEMA have started providing the displaced person that they want to take them to their ancestral home. But before this incident, we recorded about 3 or 4 fire outbreaks because of the congestion of the said IDP camp. But as we speak today, 2 children died, 1 girl and 1 boy. And according to the NEMA and FEMA official that have spoken with me, I was told that more than 1,000 houses was raised down by the fire, and aside livestock and other things that was burnt down by the inferno. So the NEMA officer and the NEMA officer, they are still in the camp working to assess and to know the number of the affected people. And of course, I was told by the NEMA officer that tomorrow morning the deputy governor is visiting the thing and also distribute a relief item to the victim of the fire outbreak.
Okay, we're talking about 1,000 makeshift, houses in that IDP camp burned within an hour. Talk to us about the response by the first responders. How swift were they?
Yes, like I said, from that IDP camp to the fire brigade office in Maiduguri, the big site of more than about 20 kilometers, and the camp, the Muna IDP camp is the only official camp that is still assisting in Maiduguri. So the number of the people in that IDP camp is massive. So it is difficult for the fire fire brigade personnel to even to assess the thing of the fire outbreak. So it made it difficult for them to control the fire. So the makeshift tents that the people were using in that camp, and of course, this is dry season, and any little thing is ignited. So these are the things that I believe is responsible for the fire outbreak.
Okay. Are there any alternative arrangements that is being made, for these IDPs in the interim?
Come again?
Are there any alternative arrangements that is being made to assist the IDPs to get somewhere they can, somewhere safe that they can stay for now?
I don't believe there's any alternative for now. But as I was told by the STEM official, they said that the deputy governor will represent the governor tomorrow in the morning and give them immediate relief items and all that, both food item and non-food item. But as for the tents, maybe I don't know how soon they will start constructing, and of course, it depends on the speed at which the state government will approach the issue. But for now, what they are doing now is to assess and to have the details of number of the households that are affected by the fire disaster.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Olatunji, for joining and for the updates. We'll continue to follow with this story. All right. Now, the industrial action called by the organized labor has paralyzed public and commercial activities in Dutse Jigawa state capital. Daily Trust observed that schools, hospitals, state secretariats and other public offices were shut down by the NLC in compliance with its nationwide strike, which started Tuesday, November 14. However, banks and other commercial institutions in Dutse, the state capital, remain closed as NLC went round the state to enforce compliance to its directives. Chairman, Nigerian Labour Congress Jigawa State Chapter, Sanusi Al-Hassan, commended his members for maximum compliance to the nationwide strike. He said that the industrial action was not aimed at creating difficulties for Nigerians or to hurt the national economy, but it is a step to force the political leaders to take appropriate action to address the current economic hardship created by fuel subsidy removal. And Bayero University, Kano, has announced the suspension of all ongoing first semester undergraduate examinations and other academic activities for the 2022-2023 academic session. The announcement was contained in a statement signed by the university's acting registrar, Amina Abdullahi Umar. The suspension, according to the statement, is due to the nationwide strike embarked upon by the Nigerian Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress. The university management has directed all students to remain calm and await further directives. The statement noted that the ongoing examinations are halfway through, and as soon as the strike is over, the examinations will continue. The Academic Staff Union of Universities had on Monday directed its members to join the nationwide strike. In a similar vein, students of Obafemi Awolowo University have been speaking out on impact of the ongoing nationwide strike by the organized labor, which has paralyzed academic activities in the university. The education sector is one of the hardest hits by the industrial action following the near total compliance by members of the academic unions. Hamid Oegbadi reports.
The Academic Staff Union of Universities is one of the organized labor affiliates that announced its support for the ongoing nationwide strike as lecturers stay away from classrooms. Students of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, have been expressing their dissatisfaction with the development as academic activities come to a halt.
I'm not happy about it because we've always had these same issues over and over again. NLC going on strike, ASU going on strike, and it's really affecting us students. It's really affecting our academics. Apart from that, we are always behind. We have mates that are in private universities that at this stage they're already done with their school, with their education, but we are still behind.
I think it's very unfair because, especially to us students that are going out there in the job market, we need competition, but by the time the by the time we graduate from school, we are no longer in the market. We are already older than what these firms and companies want. And also for students that stay off K, we get to pay like increased fee. They increase this hostel rent like every year and is elapsing.
This strike is one that is, to us, is taking your luck too far. Nigeria Labour Congress is organizing national strike just because some disgruntled element in Imo State choose to go the anarchical way against the president of NSC. And over 200 million Nigerians will now suffer for that infraction. That is not acceptable.
A public affairs analyst, Adenita Akinola, said federal government should have arrested and prosecuted those that attacked the NLC president in Imo State before the matter degenerated into a nationwide strike.
One could have blamed the NLC president and what was he doing in Imo at that time? Because as a president of NLC, he has been identified with a particular party, Labour Party, and this election is holding in the state, an off-cycle election, and is going to that place to protest the interests of workers for pension, for salary, or for whatever. So ordinarily, sir, it may look as it's ill-timed. Why didn't you do it before the election, at least 3 weeks or a month to the election, or 2 months to the election, to press down this demand? Or after the election, what would it be on the twilight of the election that such, an action will take place? So it's a complex situation.
Meanwhile, in Osogbo, the state capital, the strike has not significantly affected public services as residents continued with their everyday activities unhindered. Amid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
In a similar vein, the ongoing strike action by the organized labor is continuing to gain momentum as unions record total compliance in Asaba, the Delta State capital. Jonathan Awaye reports that government buildings have remained shut due to the ongoing industrial action. The report.
Asaba, the Delta State capital, remains paralyzed by the strike action initiated by the organized labor. It's day 2 of the industrial action, and compliance is significantly high. At the Professor Chike Edozie Secretariat, which houses all the ministries in the state, that gate has been barricaded as civil servants were not allowed into the premises. That same was done at the Federal Secretariat and other public institutions, including schools, as students were asked to return home in compliance with the directive of the organized labor.
Our president was arrested by police and handed over to thugs to be beaten up. But for the intervention of the National Security Advisor, who knows what would have happened? And workers in this country feel that it is a slap on their faces for them to ask their president to go to Imo State and the president is beaten up. We now ask the federal government to redeploy the police commissioner who supervised that beating. The area commander was also one of those that supervised the beating.
Other labor leaders who spoke with Trust TV said the union is delighted with the massive support Deltans gave the strike action and called on the federal government to yield to the demands of labor.
It's our right, freedom of expression. They should not be deterred for any reason concerning what we are doing. The most important thing is for us to achieve result at the end of the day. The workers should remain resolute and firm and wait for the outcome of the next line of action to be taken by the National Secretariat.
To advise the government of the day to listen to labor, because labor is the voice of the masses, and we want to say also that whatever labor demand is something that will benefit the entire masses, and governance is all about the people. It's for the people and for the people.
As the strike continues to take its toll on Nigerians, the organized labor remain resolute until the government meets their conditions. Jonathan Awaye, Trust TV News, Asaba.
In a related development, the National Assembly complex in Abuja has been finally shut down by organized labor groups in protest of the manhandling of the national president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajero. However, the presidential Villa Gate, which connects the National Assembly complex, remained opened for security personnel and other essential workers. The management of the National Assembly has not commented on the matter. Among those barred from gaining entry into the legislative complex were journalists, legislative aides, and several members of the Parliamentary Staff Association of Nigeria, who are affiliates of organized labor. Meanwhile, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribado, on Wednesday apologized to the organized labor over attacks on the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajero, in Owerri, Imo State capital, on November 1. Ribado also urged the movement to rescind its decision on the current ongoing strike across the country, adding that attackers of Ajero have been arrested and investigations have commenced. The NSA's plea was contained in a statement signed by the head of strategic communications in the office of the National Security Advisor, Zakari Mijinyawa. Ribado said that the federal government regrets the incident that happened in Imo and condemns it in its entirety, noting that it was against the rule of law and the principles of freedom of association and expression subscribed to by President Tinubu and his administration. Still on the effects of the labor strike, the arraignment of the former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele has been stalled at the Federal Capital Territory High Court following the industrial action embarked upon by the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria at the Federal Capital Territory High Court branch. JUSUN had directed its members to join the industrial action by the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress over an assault on NLC President Joe Ajero in Imo State on November 1, 2023. A visit to the court on Wednesday showed a locked gate and no sign of lawyers trooping in and out of the court premises. Justice Olukayode Adeniyi had last week granted Emefiele bail. He ordered that he should be released immediately to his lawyers, who are charged with the responsibility of producing him in court for his arraignment on Wednesday. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up shortly. Despite rising global temperatures, climate change remains unmitigated. Details and more after the break.
That's right. You too could be one of the 20 Zenith Bank customers that will win 150,000 Naira every 2 weeks from June 1st, 2023 until May 31st, 2024 in the Zenith Better Life Promo 3. To qualify, simply open a Zenith Bank account. For more information, visit www.zenithbank.com/betterlife. Live the better life with Zenith Bank.
Are you interested in the latest news and developments in Nigerian politics, policy, governance, and other critical national issues? Look no further than Daily Politics on Trust TV. Our panel of experts and key people in government provide in-depth analysis and commentary on the biggest stories in Nigerian politics.
And 33.3 million Nigerians are suffering from multidimensional poverty.
Is a much calmer Buhari than the Buhari who was in the khaki uniform.
Naira to Naira X rate is higher anywhere in the world. The Naira is higher than our exchange rate. So you want to...
This central bank governor you're doing, you must do it fast.
Number of casualties we have had, we shouldn't have had. Security as far as Nigeria is concerned, we have wronged.
From the inner workings of government to the latest on legislation, rule of law, implementation, and democracy, we have you covered. Don't miss out on the latest political news and discussion. Tune in to Daily Politics, weekdays on Trust TV, your source for reliable and unbiased coverage of Nigerian politics.
Welcome back. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Here's a look at the top stories. 2 killed, 1,000 houses lost as fire engulfs IDP camp in Borno. Plus, nationwide strike enters day 2 with partial compliance. In other news, climate change remains a hot topic on a global scale, with proponents advocating measures to curtail man-made factors to lower the effect on the environmental and economic ecosystems. The past 12 months have been the hottest ever recorded in 150 years as the world struggles to provide solutions to the growing energy crisis. In this report, Abdurrahman Umar puts the spotlight on the effects of climate change and its impact on livelihood.
Victoria Haruna is a rice cultivator who is feeling the impact of the hot weather condition that has become a new normal. The rise in temperature is becoming too much to bear.
This rice, it takes us several months to harvest. Like right now, due to the hot weather we are experiencing, it becomes too difficult for us to carry the work like we normally do. But we can say, since the government will not provide any help, despite the hot weather, we are just trying to survive.
The work becomes much easier when it is during rainy season, but in this hot weather condition, we still have to carry on.
For experts like Ibrahim Wasiu, the correlation between human activities and rising temperatures is evident for all to see.
The hot weather we are experiencing for now, like you said, when we are, indiscriminately felling of trees and all that, which are supposed to be, to be, coexist with human being and all that, when you indiscriminately cut all these trees, what we are saying in essence is you are affecting the ecosystem. And indirectly, this is supposed to balance the, the temperature for us. But, you can't find them anymore. They are less in number and all that. And as a result, it's not directly or indirectly causing, this excess heat that we are having now. And of course, we also know it's as a result of deforestation, and all that.
Despite the concerted effort to turn around militating factors, the gaps that exist is too great to make meaningful impact.
We just have to think outside the box. We just have to continue to think of alternative, to the use and burning of fossil fuels, other activities that women can engage that can, at the end of the day, curtail all this burning of fossil fuels and other things. We just have to think, ahead. We just have to really, know that climate is changing. And before we know it, it's really having indirect effect on human lives. We just have to, key into this. And as a matter of fact, this is the right time to do that.
Although poverty and economic inequality are greatly undermining solutions aimed at addressing these challenges, the authorities have more to do.
The major threat to environmental, tranquility in this country is the fact that, the rate of poverty is over close to 70%. And I think almost that proportion, about 70% of the population actually depend on fuel wood for cooking, either fuel wood or the new variant now that is called charcoal. And over the years, governments, in succession, they've not been serious about, the transition from fuel wood to a cleaner fuel such as gas, or other forms of renewable fuels or sources of energy, and that has make the situation much more serious, because as the population increase, poor people tend to depend on natural resources or natural fuels such as fuel wood in order to cook, and people must cook.
Nigerians appear to be oblivious of how everyday actions like tree felling and waste mismanagement can facilitate global warming. There is a clarion call for all hands to be on deck if the most populous black nation in the world is to make progress in reversing the trend of climate change. Abdurrahman Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Nigeria's headline inflation rate for October 2023 has increased to 27.33% according to the National Bureau of Statistics. Daily Trust reports that the figure is 0.9 short of the 28.2% recorded in August 2005. The NBS, in a report released on Wednesday, said that on a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 6.24 points higher compared to the rate recorded in October 2022, which was 21.09%. Similarly, it said that food sub index for October 2023 increased to 31.52% on a year-on-year basis, which was 7.80% points higher compared to the rate recorded in October 2022. It said that the rise in food inflation was due to increases in prices of bread and cereals, oil and fat, potatoes, yam, and food commodities. The Edo State Police Command has arrested 26 illegal migrants from Cameroon and Burkina Faso. It was gathered that the suspects were arrested in Afoa in Uzairwe, Esako West local government area. The migrants comprised of 16 males and 8 females from Cameroon, 1 male and 1 female from Burkina Faso. The command's spokesperson, Chidi Nwabuezo, said that the suspects were arrested on November 9 following credible information. He said that the police at Jutu Division received information that some persons were seen gathering in a certain compound. Hence, operatives stormed the place and arrested the suspect. Chidi said that they would be handed over to Criminal Investigation Department for proper profiling and thereafter handed over to the Nigerian Immigration Service. On the foreign scene, Israel's military said its forces are carrying out precise and targeted operation against Hamas in Gaza's main hospital, Al-Shifa, after several days of fighting around the site. The U.S. had earlier said that it had intelligence suggesting Hamas was using the hospital as a command and control node, supporting prior claims by Israel. Hamas and medical officials in Gaza say that the hospital is not used for military purposes. Both the UN and the Red Cross on Wednesday voiced alarm over the Israeli military's raid on the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. UN humanitarian chief Martin Griffiths said in a post on X that he is appalled by reports of military raids in Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. He said that the protection of newborns, patients, medical staff, and all civilians must override all other concerns, noting that hospitals are not battlegrounds. The International Committee of Red Cross, meanwhile, said that it was extremely concerned about the impact on sick and wounded people, medical staff, and civilians. And that's a wrap on the news update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ile. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.